I'd like to call to order the regular school board meeting for Monday, August 12th, 2019. We will begin with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for joining us on this rather cloudy and treacherous evening out. I hope everyone got here safely. We'll move right on to the opening items. Do we have any changes, amendments, additions, or deletions to the agenda?
We're pulling 8.03 for no action.
Okay. And anything else? Nothing else? Then we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
Recommend approval of the minutes from the school board workshop dated July 8th, 2019, the regular school board meeting July 8th, 2019, regular school board meeting July 22nd, 2019, and the special school board meeting public hearing for the tentative budget July 29th, 2019, and the special school board meeting July 29th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, do we have any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to representation, we have two representatives tonight. The first one is our district high school athletic recognition, Mr. Don Hogan, our district athletic director.
Good evening, Superintendent, School Board, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we'd like to recognize three Eustis softball players for their outstanding accomplishments this past year. Eustis softball, under the direction of Coach Brittany Beal, has been a state championship contender for the last 3 years, and these three young ladies have played significant roles and made great contributions to the team's success. If I could get Ms. Luke to... We'll go one by one with the young ladies. Our first young lady we're going to recognize is Katie Johnson. Katie, if you'd stand. Katie was a member of the 2017 5A state runner-up Eustis team. Katie was second team All-State in 2017 and 18. She was daily commercial All-Area this past year, 2019. 2019, she was the first team All-State by Florida Sports Writers, and Katie will be attending Lake Sumter State College on a softball scholarship this fall. Let's give her a round of applause. Our second student athlete is Delaney Heberlin. Delaney was also a member of the 2017 5A state runner-up Eustis team. Delaney was a 2017 finalist for the Dairy Farms Miss Softball Player of the Year. She was the 2017 5A Pitcher of the Year. Spectrum Sports 2017 Softball Athlete of the Year for Lake and Sumter counties. 2019 Orlando Sentinel and Daily Commercial First Team, and also a 2019 First Team All-State Florida Sports Writers nominee. And Delaney will be attending Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia on a softball scholarship this fall. Our third athlete, Leah Hanks. Leah was a member, like the other two, of the 2017 5A state runner-up Eustis team. Leah was a first-team All-State for 4 years of her career. Daily Commercial All-Area for 4 years of her career, Orlando Sentinel All-Area 2017, 18, and 19. She was an extra inning All-American this year, 2019, a Max Preps First Team All-American, and Leah will be attending Notre Dame this fall on a softball scholarship. Let's give her a round of applause. These young ladies' parents have done a great job, along with the coaching staff at Eustis, Coach Bell. Let's give them a round of applause also.
Well done, Lady Panthers. We'd love it if you would come up so that we could shake your hands.
Dr. Burns, may I?
Yes.
I can tell you that the team and the dynamic nature of their playing was outstanding to watch. My daughters are both softball players, so we try to go to as many games as possible, and it was always very exciting to watch you young ladies whenever you're on the field. So go Eustis, and good luck to all of you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you, ladies, and thank you, Mr. Hogan. Our next recognition will be by our superintendent. Will be a recognition of Joe Ziller, president of Kevco Builders.
And before he and our other guests come forward, I'd like to tell you a little bit about why we're recognizing them this evening. About a year ago, I had Mark Schwartz with Red Apple Media. He came to my office and brought with him his friend Joe Zeiler, who just came in and said, he told me the story about his brother who had committed suicide. And he said, I know this is a problem for our kids. And he said, in memory of my brother, I want to make a difference. And I want to make sure that no family suffers from what my family has suffered, or for any child to think that the world would be better without them. And he said, how can I help? And at that time, we were just launching our Speak Out campaign. And I said, I have a way that you can help. And you can help by promoting this anonymous hotline, tip hotline, for our children and for the adults in this community. And he said, just tell me what you need and when you need it, and it's yours. And he meant every word that he said. And I'm very grateful to Mark for bringing him our way, first of all, and then for him to reach out to us as a school community on behalf of our kids. And so I'm sure you've heard by now, and you've seen the beautifully wrapped vehicles that we have. We have some of our school resource officer vehicles, as well as 6 district vans. You can't miss them traveling down the road, as they're the lime green and the bright colors that catch your attention, but most of all, really point your attention to that anonymous tip line that we're promoting in every one of our schools. Also, he purchased 10,000 lanyards so that every middle school student, and I know you all have some of them there if you haven't seen them, could wear the Speak Out hotline number around their neck, promoting it in every one of our schools. And we're just very grateful. And tonight I'm very honored to be able to recognize both Joe Zeiler and Mark Schultz for the work that they've done. And before they come up, we're going to show a brief video that was published or put together by Red Apple Media. Speak Out is an anonymous hotline that we are advocating in our schools for students to be able to report anonymous tips. It follows the philosophy, if you see something, say something. So we're encouraging students to speak out against violence, anything that they see, hear, that they believe is a threat to them or to any other student, to call the anonymous tip line so that we can investigate and ensure that our students have the supports that they need.
You know, anytime that we can partner with the school district crime line to make sure that the children on our school campuses know that they can remain anonymous and report things that do not seem right, that's the goal, is to make sure that we're getting the information as fast as we can get it, so in the event that there is an issue, we can solve it.
Here locally, we've been trying to, through Livestream, to figure out a way to get down into the schools, to work on the mental health issue, the anti-bullying, and that type of thing. And when we met with the superintendent of schools, we were given the opportunity for the Speak Out program.
So one of the things that we wanted to do was to make this as visible as possible within the community. And we knew that we were going to be purchasing a new fleet of vans. And so they'll be very visible, delivering supplies and resources to the schools as they typically do, carrying the Speak Out emblem.
I think the impact on the community is going to be great. We're going to have 6 vehicles through the school district that are all maintenance vehicles that travel around throughout the school district, and 2 police resource officer vehicles as well.
You know, this is a big county, 1,156 square miles. We can't do this job by ourselves in law enforcement. It takes a community backing us. We're proud that Kevco Builders is behind this, so we're very appreciative of our public partners, our private partners coming together to make this a reality.
I decided to underwrite this primarily because of my passion that's come about in the last 6 years because of my brother's death to suicide. With the kids in the schools, we've had local suicides and the bullying within the schools. So it's been 2 different things on 2 different levels. And again, trying to get to the school level with the children.
The bottom line is to save the lives of kids. Our goal is to encourage every child, every adult, if you're concerned about yourself or you're concerned about another child, speak out. Call the anonymous tip line because you can and you will save lives. So I'm very honored to introduce to you tonight Mr. Joe Zeiler. He is the president of Kevco Builders in Eustis, and Mark Schwartz with Red Apple Media. I don't know if Nancy's coming as well. I want to thank you all for what you're doing for our kids in this community, and on behalf of our school district, I want to present each of you a plaque just to say thank you. A small token of our appreciation, because there are no further words that I could share, just tell you how grateful we are. And in memory of your brother, thank you. He'd be extremely honored and proud as well. So, would either of you like to say anything?
Yeah, I will actually. Has anybody seen the billboards by chance?
I have.
I also repurposed 5 or 6 billboards here locally that had my company on them, and just decided, again, trying to get this message out that just seems so difficult to do, and I'm just humbled by the overwhelming reaction to the billboards. And if you haven't seen it, they have my brother and my niece, who was his only daughter, on the billboards, and they, I'll paraphrase because I honestly can't remember, I'm not used to this kind of stuff, say something along the lines of, Dad, I'm not better off without you. And they're signed your daughter, Kara. And that's what people need to realize that are struggling, is that's the overwhelming thing that goes through their mind, is they think everyone will be better off without them. And I can assure you that 6.5 years later, I'm definitely not better off without my baby brother. He was 41 when he took his own life. And, you know, in many ways, it seems like it was yesterday, and thank God it wasn't. Once the fog kind of wore off, I started kind of getting my mind around different ways to make an impact. And I'm really starting to feel like it's starting to really get some traction now, and I greatly appreciate this partnership. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for everything you've done. I can't think of a better way to honor a tragedy. Would you two please, can we, yes. if you haven't seen the billboards, they're incredibly touching and very moving. And I think it's a wonderful way to honor a fallen family member. So moving on to public input. At this point, we'll take public input. I do ask that our speakers stick to the 3-minute limit that we have so that we can have the meeting run in an efficient manner. First, I have Vance Yocum.
And we do want to have the meeting run in an efficient manner. Vance Yocum, I write the blog fiscalrangers.com. Just a couple questions. One is that the city of Tavares just pushed through about a 200-unit apartment building on Lake Saunders. And I've gotten conflicting reports about whether or not they had contacted the schools and whether the schools had approved, the capacity that they might need. Those are rental apartments. And I don't know whether anybody here has any information on that. Maybe you could explain either now or they can talk to me later about that. But it's going to be an issue with a lot of the people down there that are single-family homes, and all of a sudden they got these buildings plopped right in the middle of them. The other thing is that I just wanted to share with you something. I've always worked in business and mostly, and they always did a lot of forecasting and competitive analysis on, what their costs were. And I came across a report from Florida Tax Watch that came out in March. And this is actually the second one. They had one that came out 2 years before that. So this is the second one. I'm going to put it down here. If, David, you could put that up on the slide. There we go. And this is just the one-page extract. The report is actually about 15 pages long on Florida Tax Watch's website. And what you'll notice is that and these are average costs. This isn't it isn't just this county, and so your numbers may be a bit different, but they're pointing out that almost always when there's any public discussion on the costs of students, that it comes out to about $7,000 per student, but that they said that didn't include the capital costs, and by the time you include all the capital costs, it's about $10,000 a student. But then they went and they compared it to charter schools and to, private schools, and they came in with different numbers. The total cost loaded was $7,400 for one and the other one. Now, I don't know how accurate these numbers are. There may be, some things that you absorb. This brings up two issues, though. One is that probably you should have a discussion when you are doing your budgets about how you compare to these other schools with studies like this. And then the other thing is that I do know that you have some competitive advantages. You maybe have extra people, whether it's psychiatrists and other things that you provide. And maybe that isn't always being sold, so that when groups go out there and they compare your costs to those costs, and since the discussion here has always been about you want to be a source for people moving here and to come to this school district as opposed to some of the other alternatives, I think that what you need to do is maybe have a better explanation. We've seen it on the financial side, but on the total mix of the services that you get from these schools and comparing so that parents truly do know and they just don't see that total. And frankly, that the legislators don't just see the total and compare, because I think you do have advantages, and they do have advantages from a cost standpoint, but I think maybe you might do well to have some better, public sharing of what the true costs are in the services between the two. Some have music, for instance, and you're now adding that to your schools, and do these other schools have that sort of thing? Thank you.
Thank you. You might be interested in looking at 10.03 charter services for purchase. When I looked through it, it was very illuminating on which schools collected which services. For example, ESE services are one of the things that that charter schools can choose to get from us, or they can choose to not get from us. And the most likely case when a charter school chooses not to take ESE services, it's because they're not selecting ESE kids or filtering those kids out. So they don't have that added cost that we as a public school have to service by federal law. Like it's, important that we teach every child. So charter schools also don't have some of the moral mandates that you would say public schools would have. And I thought it really was highlighted in 10.03. Moving on, Mickey Meyer.
Thank you, board members. My name is Mickey Meyer. I'm the chaplain and the safety trustee for the local Lake County ABATE chapter of Florida. ABATE is American Bikers Aiming Towards Education. We're a motorcycle rights and safety organization. We're not a club. We're just a bunch of knuckleheads that like motorcycles and we like to ride, and we want to provide some awareness and safety tips within the school districts. We provide and have been providing a free class, and will continue to do so as long as we can, for any of the high schools. Anyone that might have kids in Lake Minneola High School probably have heard about our presentation. We arrange our presentation, primarily it's been through the HOPE programs, the health options and all. And the coaches are the ones that are generally those that are teaching the programs and all. We can set it up for whatever length of classroom time, from 20 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours. Not only do we do it in the classrooms, but we do it with TICO, we do it with utilities, all free, no charge to anybody. Everyone has to have a safety meeting in organizations, corporations, and we try to fit that bill with raising motorcycle awareness and safety. We're very happy that we have a no texting, no driving law started. And it's only a start, because I know distracted driving is what kills most motorcyclists. And some of y'all probably have ridden motorcycles. Some of y'all probably hate motorcycles. Some of you would like to have a motorcycle. With the kids, it's the same thing. And our classroom presentation is one that we hope meets the needs of every kid in the classroom, of every individual person in any of the meetings that we have. So I'm here, I've given you a little syllabus, I guess, of what we do, motorcycle safety and awareness. I left my card in there. I'm here to ask for your support. We've taught in Leesburg High School. We've taught in Lake Minneola. We've taught in South Sumter High School. I've gone to some other high schools, and for one reason or another, and I recognize that time is a situation, but I also recognize that until recently, we didn't have driver's education in the school system. The last time I was in this building was years ago, when the young lady from, I forget her name, from Tavares High School was instrumental in getting driver's education back into Lake Sumter, in the Lake County school systems. We even, as ABATE chapter, provided funds for Leesburg High School to have their simulator repaired. And if they had it repaired, that was the end of the driver's education classes in the classroom. So we bit the bullet on that, but it's cool, because we were in there for several different classes with Big Fish. If anybody knows Big Fish, the coach at Leesburg High School that retired years ago. But we just want to be able to make a difference on the highways. And I know everyone here knows what I'm talking about with distracted driving. I would be willing to bet that everyone here has used a cell phone, either texting or phone calls while they're driving. And I'm guilty too. But I'm saying that to say, we want to be able to do our part, and we can provide a free classroom presentation, all the school system, high school-related people.
Thank you for your service. I know the superintendent has jotted down your information, and she usually follows up with a contact.
That's all I ask.
So I appreciate it.
Give us a little push.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you much.
Stuart Clapp.
Hi, I'm Stuart Klatt, LCEA. Another new school year. Isn't it exciting?
Oh,
Wow.
How long can you tread water?
are we still on air?
Check.
David, are we good? I don't know what that means. He's going like this.
Hang on, Stuart, we'll start your time over.
It's all right.
I pause it?
We're back up? Is that what he said? Oh, we're not back up. Okay, so we wait. Okay.
So should I sing, dance, entertain?
He's very Italian. I don't know if he's actually Italian, but he's talking with his hands a lot. Okay, we are back up.
I think your microphone turned off in that glitch.
All right, back to a new school year. Isn't it exciting? If you've had a chance to drive by any school this weekend, you probably noticed lots of cars of teachers getting their classrooms ready on Saturday and Sunday. Some teachers made it a family event and brought the kids and the husband and wife to help get their classrooms ready. So, we need to thank our teachers for that, coming out on their own time and many times at their own expense to get the classrooms ready for our students for another school year. And I just want to say it's an exciting time, and we need to thank and appreciate our teachers for everything they do, because without our teachers, the rest is kind of moot point. Because the teachers are the ones who work with students, help them achieve, help them excel. And so, as I've said before, Bill Gates says there's only 2 jobs in education. One is teaching children. The other is supporting the people who teach the children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on, we have a reports section. Tonight, Carmen Colombat isn't here, but we do have Audra Dix. So, there she is. With the Educational Foundation.
Good evening, school board members and Superintendent Diane Cornegie. My name is Audra Dick, and I'll be delivering the foundation report in Carmen's absence tonight. As Stuart said, the school year has started, and our Apple Mart, where teachers can shop for free throughout the school year, opens this Wednesday. We've distributed these Apple Mart gift cards to 318 brand new teachers, and we've distributed the cards to 13 schools, and every single teacher at those schools has received an Apple Mart card. By October, we should have reached every single teacher in Lake County schools, and each teacher will receive a card to be able to come, shop, and get tons of different school supplies, things for their classroom, book bags for specific students, and it's just a really great program that we offer for our teachers. We've also implemented our employee giving campaign this year. We have so far 163 teachers that are investing back into the foundation for Lake County schools. And in the 2018-2019 school year, we impacted 476 non-instructional employees, 1,073 teachers, and 494 students. And our intent is to better that number for next year. And Mark Schwartz actually helped us create a video for this employee giving campaign. And Diane Cornegie is a star in the video. So I'm going to play that for you really quick, just to give you guys a little taste of what our presentations are like.
Welcome to a new school year. I'm Diane Cornegie, your very proud superintendent. And with the start of the new school year comes a relaunch of our giving campaign with our wonderful Education Foundation. We want to share with you some success stories so that you can see the impact the Education Foundation is having on the students and the teachers of Lake County. This past school year, the Education Foundation invested over $1 million back into our classrooms.
My name is Lisa Rowe. I teach STEM enrichment for K through 5 at Grassy Lake Elementary. Supply-wise, that can be challenging, especially since I do teach kindergarten through 5th grade and the entire school population, which is about 1,100 students. I'm all the time reaching out and trying to find grant funding sources and reaching out to the foundation to see if they can help me with special projects. Over the past 5 years, I've probably received about $18,000 in grants, and definitely benefits the students.
It impacted over 22,000 students.
My name is Denkov Bryan. I go to Leesburg High School. I went to Fruitland Park for all of elementary. I went to Carter for all of middle school. And I was in all advanced classes, as most of the ACE students were. The ACE program is an internationally recognized program from Cambridge University that gives students a kind of leg up. I don't think that Leesburg High School would have an ACE program without the Education Foundation. They've provided a substantial donation of more than $50,000 to Leesburg High School to get our ACE program up and running. Without them, we would have no ACE.
And the Education Foundation impacted almost 500 non-instructional employees.
My name is Linda Muldrow. I've been a bus driver for 22 years. I think the foundation is very good because it helps people who may be living from check to check to be able to go out and experience some things that others might come by easily. We got tickets from the foundation, Disney tickets, and they were wonderful. It means a lot to know that we are appreciated, and that allowed other things too, as far as my grandson, for instance, his first time at Walt Disney World, and to know that, like I said, that they appreciate us. It feels good about getting up every morning and getting on that bus.
We are grateful for the over $12,000 that was raised in employee giving last year. But together, we can do more for the benefit of our kids. So please consider giving even just $1 from each of your paychecks in the coming year. That money goes directly back into our classrooms, and our teachers and our students will certainly feel the impact of your generous contribution. On behalf of the Education Foundation and everyone that will benefit from your generosity, thank you. Have a wonderful school year.
Thank you, Educational Foundation. I love my backpack.
So this employee giving campaign is open to all Lake County Schools employees, and we just want to reiterate that it's not about the amount that you're giving. It's more about the participation of everyone, helping our teachers and our students. Along with this, we distributed 2,000 backpacks filled with grade-appropriate supplies based on FTE numbers to all Lake County School elementary schools in this past July to help prepare for the new school year. Last Monday was our Red for Ed weigh-in event. We collected over 4,000 pounds of school supplies and $4,594 in donations for back-to-school supplies. And then after that weigh-in, we picked up 50 more businesses of supplies that could not come to the event. It was raining that night. And Walt Disney World Resorts is sending 2 pallets this week to support our Red for Ed Paint the County Red in July. And we anticipate with all of those donations that we've probably collected over 12,000 pounds in school supplies. Lots of copy paper because it weighs the most. We want to give a shout out to Seco Energy and a big thank you as they've donated $3,500 to the foundation for our ACT reading prep program. We're funding this year at $30,000. And this ACT reading prep program is going to help 413 seniors that have a potential to not be able to graduate because they are not able to pass the ACT. And we do not want that, so we're helping fund that. We funded this program for the past 6 years. And last year with the ACT Reading Prep program, we had a 76% success rate, and 283 more students were able to graduate last year because of this Reading Prep program. So it's very important that we keep this in our schools and we keep this going. We want to say congratulations to all of the Stepping Out stars that were able to participate in our really wonderful event that happened this past month. Nan Cobb, Elise Morris, Diane Cornegie, Chuck Broadway, Jim Miller, and Anthony Sabatini all danced and all did wonderful. The event sold out both nights and raised $103,000. So it was a great event, very successful. $64,000 of this money will be used to fund CTE programs for middle and high schools. Just to give you a little taste, Friday night Female and Audience Choice Award was our very own Nan Cobb. Top Male Friday and Saturday night was Chuck Broadway. Top Female Saturday night was Elise Morris. And of course, the Audience Choice Award for Saturday night and the overall 2019 Mirror Ball winner was Diane Cornegie, our very own superintendent. Everyone did amazing. I know that's not something that I could personally do, is to dance like that. I would just break my neck. So congratulations to everyone, and thank you to everyone that helped make that event possible. Our Take Stock in Children program has had some really exciting changes this year. They've transitioned to an online application versus old school paper, where we had to make 10 different copies of one kid's application and distribute it. So we've kind of streamlined, did a little eco-friendly, and kind of brought it into 2019. And so it's all online. It's very user-friendly, very easy. And we're also now, instead of bringing students in the 8th grade year, we're now bringing them in the 9th grade year as well. So they can kind of get the high school jitters out of the way and start thinking about college in 9th grade. These applications that are going to be online are going to go live September 1st, and the deadline will be November 22nd this year. The Take Stock in Children Spelling Bee is September 12th at Lake Receptions, which is always a fun time. And our Scott Strong Golf Tournament will be at Mission Inn on September 27th. We have space left for 11 different teams. And our presenting sponsors this year are the Hans Jacobson Trust Services and Electric Services. And then, of course, our favorite, the Lady of the Lakes Renaissance Fair is coming right around the corner, as we all know. November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 9th, and 10th. And if you are interested in being a part of our cast, come audition this Saturday at 10 a.m. in South Lake. You will have a blast if you are part of the cast. And our next board meeting is August 28th at noon at the district office. Are there any questions?
You're busy.
Always busy. Never a break.
Thank you, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Mark Swartz at Red Apple Media for the fabulous, and oh my gosh, you couldn't have had a cuter kid at the end. He's adorable. It was a fabulous little montage, so thank you. And well done to our superintendent as well.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no unfinished business at this point, and so we will move on to new business. Superintendent?
We have our attorney report, either that or he's just over there hanging out.
Sorry, I missed that.
Right, we all were hoping he was leaving.
I wasn't, Steve, because I love you.
I really appreciate it.
Mr. Johnson, would you please give us our attorney's report?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. I just have one item for you tonight. I've been discussing the construction of a roadway across part of the property that Mineola Charter Elementary School purchased. The charter and the city have been in discussions for some time about relieving some of the burden that will come on the roadways because of the addition of the couple of buildings that they're putting in and the additional students. This, I am told, is north going this way.
It is.
Across the property. Right here in the corner, it's hard to see on here, but there's a little square, there's a piece of property. It's this piece right here on the other, and this is the map of or the drawing of the proposed roadway. I'm not sure I have any idea how far along they are, if at all. I think it's still being designed.
They started taking trees out already.
They've taken trees out. This is, where they're coming across here is wooded. What we're here to talk about, where I'm here to talk about, is this little square here and here, which is currently owned by the city of Mineola. As part of their discussions, I believe that they have discussed the city compensating them for part of the roadway. We really didn't get into those discussions because, quite frankly, what the charter school does as far as dealing with their additional seating is their business and their problem to have. But what the city has ended up agreeing that they would like to, and think it would be appropriate, deed that square of property to the school board. The school board owns all of the rest of the property on the school. All this would do would square up that particular piece of property, and you can see part of it's going to be, I'm looking at the wrong place. This part is cutting, the roadway is going to be over on one side, so it's just this little part that's coming in that's not already occupied by something else. There's no financial obligation associated with it, but they didn't want to go to the trouble of passing an ordinance and making a decision if we weren't going to be willing to accept it. So I told them that we were coming to the meeting today, and I told their attorney that I would confirm that whether or not we would agree that we'll accept the property. For all intents and purposes, there's nothing to be done with it, or for that matter, the rest of the school, up until or if the charter ceases to exist. So that property will just be there. It doesn't do anything but square the property. Hopefully, as part of this, as a matter of fact, not hopefully, but we would want them to remove their stuff that's on that piece of property. I understand it's been a place where things have accumulated, so we can get that off of there. And unless there's any objection to it, I would intend to say that if it's offered and deeded to the school board, we're not going to say no to it.
Where's the road go to?
It's
This is Fosgate.
It's Fosgate. They're calling it Education something.
There's Education Way, I think it says. I don't know if there's an intent to change the name of the road or
Is it
what.
end at the school?
Yeah, it's a relief road only, and it's not actually, it's more like a gravel road right now. One of the agreements with, if I can speak to it for a second.
Yes, sir.
An agreement between the city and the charter was that they wouldn't let traffic back up all into the community, the neighborhood around it. And so this small relief road was negotiated and agreed to, and at the last minute, they had it coming out on whatever this little road is.
They coming out right here.
They were, yeah, originally they were there. I was on site and suggested that it move over. That way the traffic didn't have to come out, loop around, and get back on the road again. And the charter agreed, and the city at the time agreed to give that easement to let the road, so that traffic never will come out onto the roads inside the community.
Okay.
And then it'll loop around.
We don't own the wooded area.
No, that's actually owned by the charter.
That's the
The wooded area?
property that was going to be the middle school at one point in time.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So are they building a road through a middle school?
No. There isn't a middle school right now. There isn't anything.
There's gonna be a.
The middle school.
That's why it's a relief road. It could be, and not a permanent road, so that if they decide, based on the site plan, they could move that relief road.
Oh, that's why it's gravel.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The middle school students are going to be housed, I understand, in the new construction that's going on that y'all approved as being on school board property.
It's open.
And then ultimately, the other property, the wooded area was, I mean, I've heard different things, additional middle school, high school, a lot of different things. But
that's their property to use as they see fit later on.
Okay, I get it.
Any objection to letting them go forward and deed us some property?
None? No.
Okay. That's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much. Now, at this point, we have no unfinished business. I do apologize for that, Mr. Johnson. So, moving to the superintendent for the new business and consent agenda.
Recommend approval of the consent agenda items 8.01, 8.02, and 8.04 to 10.06.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a first and second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to our discussion section. Item 11.01, does this go to Mr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. The matter before the board is final approval of School Board Policy 3.10, Administrative Organization. If there's anyone here this evening that wishes to speak to this policy, please come forward to the podium at this time. I don't see anyone coming forward, Madam Chairman. Believe it appropriate to close the public hearing.
Okay, with the public hearing closed, I believe we need a recommendation from the superintendent.
I recommend final approval of School Board Policy 3.10.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Other ones say sign. Okay, motion passes unanimously. 11.02, internal audit plan. Can we have Mr. Mock come up? I know I had a question, so I figured. Did anyone else have questions on the internal audit plan? So my question on the audit plan was regarding the audit of the health insurance and self-funded employee health care section. You and I had sort of individually discussed lots and lots of options, so I wanted to know, what have you settled on for that section? Like, what is your vision?
I was just talking about with Ms. DeWitter. Basically, is to look at the annual, and then what they do is they provide limited updates on the information, to take a look at the annual and make sure that data is being presented accurately. There was a lot of mistakes when they presented it to the school board, to look at that and see that they've corrected those areas and how it's going forward, how that information is coming forward, and will be brought forward to the school board, so that it's more accurate.
Care here, or care now? Care
Here.
somewhere?
Here now.
The individual healthcare buildings, that's what you're looking at
The
specifically?
data,
Okay,
the data.
okay. Because you and I had talked about, like, ideas, would there be other options? Are you going to look at any of that?
It's not scoped at this time. I mean, if you would like to scope it, some of it may be outside of my expertise. That was brought up, depending on where you want the additional work to go, which means we may want to look at some co-sourcing. There are firms that have a lot of expertise in that area. So if there's other areas outside of just looking at that data that was being presented, and that data is coming from our care facilities, then we could look at that to see if it's within my expertise. If it's outside of that, then we can
Because
pursue outsourcing it.
he and I, we were bouncing this back and forth, and just for the board, like, my thought was, I thought the data was junk. But I'm not gonna, like, cancel care now because, care here? Are they care here? Okay, care here, because they are providing a valuable service. So he's gonna tell me data's junk. I already think data's junk, so what am I gaining? And is there something that he can audit that would be, like, why are they not providing more wellness services? Or is,
Yeah.
Is there a way to decrease costs?
I think there are a couple of points of conversation in this, and Mr. Mock and I think we're on a similar type of wavelength and kind of looking at other avenues as well. But I think this is within his scope. There are some other things that are beyond the scope that, I'll mention in a second here. But I think the benefit of auditing the numbers is to help us understand the true cost of this and whether or not we as a district are actually saving any money by having these centers, or, is it better for them to use their...
How could we improve it?
Right, how could we improve them?
Showing us an avenue.
To piggyback, though, on some of these other items that worth looking at, the incentives, we had a conversation there that, some incentives that you've seen in the past, and I think that's probably a board piece for us to talk about at some point. I'd love to have a better conversation about how do we incentivize folks to get to a healthier lifestyle, where then they are forced to find themselves now using fewer and fewer services. Now, the other piece, though, that we talked about that I'd love to see us explore in some way, shape, or form. Clearly, this one's beyond his expertise, but I always have to question the number of services that Care Here provides and whether or not many of them are even essential, or how many things are they over-servicing. Just that way, then at the bottom line, they can say, look at how many X-rays we did. Personally, my wife went in for a sinus infection a couple weeks ago, and they said, here's an X-ray, and then the lady doing the X-ray says, why did the doctor even order an X-ray? We already know it's a sinus infection. That's just another one of those cases that is kind of above and beyond what they even need. When the X-ray tech is saying why they even do this, that kind of makes you wonder. My daughter went in for a rash contracted from some plant. They wanted to do white blood cell counts and send her off for blood tests. And I said, how essential is any of that? So this is just what I'm experiencing as my family. I just have to wonder how many things our employees are experiencing. Because back when we were talking about this, we heard from a teacher who, went in and how these labs done and so on and so forth, and then went somewhere else. They couldn't use any of the labs. You had to redo them all. How many services are they providing that are just not essential? Clearly, that's beyond his expertise, and I don't know how you go in and audit that kind of stuff to figure out whether or not people are having too many services performed, because the doctor, of course, is going to say, well, they're all essential, but...
But I think a good place to start is the numbers, like you said, and then we can, from there, decide if we want to try to go further with them.
Right.
Again, or the co-audit option.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
Do we want to, I don't know, would that be requisition, co-auditor?
I don't think.
Because it's not until, when is that on the audit plan?
November, starting around November.
Oh, so pretty soon. Okay.
Yeah,
We
the months
would
do
get
go
that
by
back
quick.
pretty quick. Okay. So that seems like a good starting point.
there's a budgetary piece to contract this other thing out,
Right.
And it sounds expensive if they got to go in and audit medical services, right? That's not cheap.
Yeah, because they would be looking at those situations, probably case by case, to see if there were things administered that weren't required or weren't needed.
But if we talk about the significant cost of our budget, it is insurance.
Absolutely.
So if we could hit this nail on the head, I feel like it would be a significant either savings for the district or for our employees around the board. So it is important. I think the cost would maybe outweigh itself, but it would be nice to have numbers to see where to start.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like a simple answer, because when we changed the broker for our insurance, we were going to experience a lot of savings, and it went completely the opposite way. When we changed brokers, that we were promised that we would have significant savings, and it has gone the opposite way. I want a simple answer as to why. Okay. So that should be a really short one.
And that's in the scope of this audit, right?
I could look into that. Okay. I could ask those questions. That seems like a question to explore. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so add that to the scope of this.
Good one.
What are we going to take off or replace for that piece that we just put on?
That's one question.
Yeah.
The big question, though. So, all right. Is there any other comments or anything on the?
Did that adjust the scope of your work that we're getting ready to vote on if you add that audit in?
I would have to talk a little bit with some people just to see what the extent of that would be. If it isn't too much, obviously, to get to that answer, then no, I don't think it would add much time at all.
Okay.
But if the road to get to that answer is long,
Let us know.
Give me a phone number and I'll call.
I mean, it should fall under audit of health insurance. I mean, right, contract audit of health insurance. That's
Right, that's
one of
what
the
I
contracts.
think it would be under that.
You would think that. I don't think you would have to come back to the board is what I mean. For that.
To ask that question.
take much to get there.
Okay.
I hope.
Anything else?
All right, well, if we're all in agreement, then, do we vote on this? Or-
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, do you have a recommendation?
Recommend approval of item 11.02, the internal audit plan for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any not in favor? All right. Universal. Unanimous decision. Moving on to our superintendent. Thank you, Mr. Mock, for your time.
One more, 11.03.
Oh, that was 10.02. See? He and I already emailed about the fact that I was confused by 10.02 and 10.03. So now we have 10.03.
11.03 is the request for a special project, or use of some of my special project time. East Ridge Choir Booster Club is being dismantled, and they would like the funds to come into the internal funds. However, they've requested that those records be audited prior to the acceptance of those funds. I asked how many years they wanted audited, and they said 2 years.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
That seems reasonable. Superintendent?
I recommend approval of 11.03, the internal audit plan 2019-2020 special project.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Passes unanimously. Now we move on to the superintendent report.
Yeah, so I too want to thank all of our teachers, our staff, and administration for a great first day of school. I was out and about, and I can tell you, other than it being extremely warm outside and everyone was melting, we had a great first day, and all reports show that we got them to school safely and we got them home. We had a little delay in the afternoon. The weather didn't quite cooperate with us, and so we did have some buses delayed due to some pretty severe weather. And so we just appreciate everybody's patience with that. And I know Stuart mentioned how many teachers were working this weekend, and we know that there was a lot of folks working this weekend, including our facilities and maintenance staff, and I just want to give a shout out to them, and thank you, Mr. Carr, and your team. We had some lightning strikes that took out air conditioning in several schools. We had some with no electricity up until late last night, and they worked the entire weekend restoring power, restoring electricity, and restoring our AC units. So I was in some of those schools today just to make sure that there was air conditioning, and every one of them, every classrooms were nice and cool. So please pass along my thanks, and I'm sure on behalf of the board, our thanks for the time that they gave. Also to Mr. Roy and our safety technicians, they worked the entire weekend as well, working in transportation, resolving some issues there. That's always when school starts, that is always the area in which, if you're going to have any issues, it's going to come in transportation when you think about the thousands upon thousands of kids that we're transporting. And everyone was just so good today. Patient, as buses may have arrived a little late or got home a little late due to weather. And his team, I know, was there probably Saturday. Many of them worked until about 3 in the morning. And so we are very grateful for all of the time that they gave to ensure a very smooth start to today. And we're very grateful to them as well. So it definitely takes a team effort, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this absolutely amazing team. And it's always great when you can say day one, 179 more to go, and they're going to be even better than today. So we are grateful. Just a few other items. If I can find my notes, here we go. We are, just a reminder that we have the groundbreaking ceremony August 26th at 9 a.m. I can send you the address if you need that. This is the partnership with the Habitat for Humanity. They will be breaking ground on the Leesburg Construction Academy home that they'll be building there. And I also want to thank all the chambers. This is such an amazing community that really values our teachers and our kids and are always doing special things. But I can tell you, last week I had breakfast every day and lunch every day somewhere, thanks to the many chambers that were just welcoming back all of our teachers and faculty and staff. And I want to thank them for honoring our teachers and for the great job that they did kicking off the school year for us all. We do have a few letters of condolence. As you may have noticed, Mr. Gamble is not with us tonight. He is out of town attending the service of his uncle who passed away, and his name was Cecil Rigsby. And so our condolences to Mr. Gamble and his family. We welcome him back next meeting and safe travels back home for him. Ernest Mimos was the father of Angela Rader, and she is the program specialist in our College and Career Readiness Department. We also sent letters of condolences to the family of Roland Eugene Bridgman. He is the father of Jerry Griswold, who is our programmatic technical analyst in our Federal Education Programs Department. Wayne Brown is the father of Sandrika Rakely. She's the compliance specialist, also in the Federal Education Programs Department. Geraldine Bowles is the mother of Christy Zamora, the assistant principal at Tavares Middle. She's also the mother-in-law of Guido Zamora, the manager in Evaluation and Compensation Department, and the mother of Kathy Falcon, who retired in our Compensation Employee Relations Department. And so those were all the letters sent.
All right. Board comments, Mr. Mathias?
And the week before school started with the drum roll, and you saw the business communities from all over the county come together to celebrate with teachers. And it's amazing to watch both the spirit of the teachers coming in, but also the pride of the business community that they're making that happen for them. So that's when you really see that partnership, and we recognize the importance of teachers in the economic development of Lake County. Just a couple of things, and it comes up every year. That the Apple Mart is an amazing resource, and that resource is for supplies for teachers at no cost. And so when I read on the Facebook and whatnot of teachers buying out of their own pocket, I would encourage them to go to Apple Mart. There are some state direct funds that are dispersed to teachers that I think Staples still will give 50% off if you're a teacher, so it almost doubles that amount to about $500, I think, last year. And so I would highly encourage, and then reach out to the business community. I've gotten a ton of calls of what can we do to help support teachers. I was just asked to join an organization called Lake 100, and their primary focus is going to be supporting our Lake County schools. So I'm excited to be part of that group. And with that said, have a great school year.
I'm going to piggyback actually on what he said, because about a week and a half ago, I put a post on Facebook that was a really cute bulletin board, a Hogwarts theme about take a look at the wizard that's responsible for your education. And it was mirrors, and it was like the different whatever. And I posted it on my Facebook page just saying this was a cool idea. And Melody Hayes, she's the assistant vice president of Insight Credit Union, actually contacted me and said, I'm going to sponsor a teacher if you have a teacher or a school that would like this. And immediately 3 or 4 teachers that are on my page jumped on it. Some of our past teachers jumped on it, said they'd like it for their classrooms. And in the end, and I'm going to read you this list because it's impressive, it's community business partners that jumped on. We were able to sponsor, it wasn't me, but Melody was able to garner the support of the following businesses: Aesthetic Skin Solutions of the Villages, Corbin Construction, Pastor John Christian, Sean Lukens, Amber Jones, Katie Emily, and Susan Ardito. They purchased the funds for the bulletin board, and Melody made all of these bulletin boards. Like, she put pictures of herself cutting out all of these extensive bulletin boards. So when you go into any classrooms this year, if you see this nice Harry Potter thing, it was just this is cute. And one of our business partners jumped right on board and got several other business partners. And I think you're right that they want to know, what can we do? It's kind of up to us to kind of direct that. But I know a lot of teachers and a lot of schools. I have a school that said we'll put it right up in our lobby. So hopefully we'll be seeing the effort, the benefit of their efforts. And I just wanted to say thank you to Melody at Insight very much for jumping right on that and really supporting teachers. And all the teachers on the page were like, thank you so much. This is incredible. So we were really excited by that. I also, Stuart, you mentioned that, but on Facebook, all the teachers are posting their classrooms. Oh my gosh, it makes me want to be in a classroom again. Their classrooms are so cool. And I actually, one of Emery's teacher last year was one of my favorite teachers, and she had put up an Amazon wish list, and so I got her some stuff and took it to her this morning, and her classroom it has a couch in it and all this flexible seating. I just want to be in here. And so I just, I'm going to share this with you guys. I debated on it or not, but been doing some ChristianParenting.org, and they just talked about the benefit of praying for your children every day of the school year. So there's a prayer journal. I ordered it, and this morning was the first morning, and I'm 1 for 1 so far, so that's good. But reading it couldn't, here I am, 6 a.m., and I'm supposed to be talking about my parenting, and it really just filled my heart with teachers that talked about being the light of the world and how much they impact our children on a daily basis. And seeing all those kids today being so excited. My son got up this morning, I'm a first grader. And just, you are the light in our children's world. And we appreciate you so much. And today is such a fun day. And I know it gets harder, but that you have help and you have support. And I'll be praying for you every single day this year. So 179 days left. So thank you guys very much.
Well, of course, I'd like to say welcome back to all the teachers and to the students and the faculty, but I think the Chambers definitely beat us to that message. I had the opportunity to attend the South Lake breakfast, which was, of course, spread over 2 days because there are just so many teachers, and it's fantastic that they put together such a wonderful event, and that it happens all over the county by the other Chambers. I think that's absolutely incredible because the teachers are jazzed up, ready to go. They're winning prizes. They're getting goodie bags, and it almost didn't sink in at first, when they said that, each goodie bag that the teachers were receiving had more than $100 worth of coupons. And then I see a teacher looking through each one. I was like, now, wait a second here. That's pretty significant because this business had to donate $2,500, potentially, for all these teachers to receive something. So that's quite a commitment from businesses to rally together. So that goes a long way. And to springboard, not only thinking about the classrooms that they're making look great and welcoming, I saw quite a group of teachers outside classrooms, beautifying the campuses, and that's just another opportunity that parents might step up, and if they're looking for another way to volunteer to kind of help do a little give each campus a little TLC after having sat dormant for a couple of months. A lot of these schools do gardens and things of the sort, and that requires a little jump start to bring the beauty back. And there was one other point that I was thinking, Vance, that kind of goes along with your information about the cost of charter school versus what our cost is, and I couldn't help but think about, in particular cases of conversion charters, where we carry the debt and we pay the debt on their buildings, and we pay the maintenance costs. So that's all coming from our budget. So the cost shows up on our side and not theirs. So that's maybe some of the imbalance of the fees and why it looks like that maybe we're spending too much money, but charter schools are not really doing it more efficiently. We're the ones paying for that stuff, the bonds and the maintenance. So something to think about.
Oh, yeah. I've long said if somebody paid my mortgage, I would be a whole lot better. So charter or conversion charters have a nice deal. I also wanted to thank all of our teachers, all of our support staff, and actually my mom is volunteering all week long, like every day. All day this week. She usually volunteers a couple days a week. So thank you to our volunteers, even if they're volunteering a little more than they need to be, because I think it's the heart of the community. Our teachers, our staff, our volunteers, you're just pouring love into those kids, and that's so important. I also had the opportunity to attend the Leesburg Chamber Breakfast, and I actually got to judge each table, or each group of tables, was one of our schools, and they all came up with awesome different themes and dances and different little 60-second cheer things that, and we ended up giving top honors to Treadway because the principal at Treadway, Vanessa King, is unbelievable and decided to not just cheer for Treadway, but to cheer for all of District 2, and went from table to table, cheering every single table on, and really, she stole the show, but she literally stole the mic. And as a judge, we, of course, gave her, and then I felt guilty because I felt like I didn't get to give everyone a prize because everyone was so enthusiastic and excited, and it was fabulous to start out the school year that way. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone who has poured books and money and pressure washing and all sorts of things. And I'll get a list of our businesses that have helped Beverly Shores Elementary School. I was talking to the principal, and she was telling me that she was able to give 300 books to each of her teachers' classrooms for their classroom libraries, and she still has stacks of books in a room that will be moving to the library, I assume. So the outpouring of support from our community is fabulous and something I'm so grateful for. And yes, thank you all for everything you do for us. And with that, I will adjourn the regular school board meeting for August 12th.